Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend those casual conversations with some insightful discussions on all the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're doing a deep dive, into your collection of articles and research about this battle for AI dominance that's like brewing. It's getting pretty intense, wouldn't you say?
Well, what I think is really fascinating is that it's not just about the algorithms or processing power. We're seeing a real clash of personalities and philosophies, and they just happen to be between like two of the biggest names in tech. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I think so. You mean Elon Musk and Sam Altman?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Elon Musk, the bold visionary, I guess you could say, Tesla, SpaceX, and now he's got his own AI vendor, XAI. He's not exactly known for holding back his opinions, right?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't. And on the other side, we have Sam Altman. He's the CEO of OpenAI. That's the company that kind of unleashed ChatGPT upon the world. And Altman is seen as more of a calculated strategist, someone who's really deliberately guiding OpenAI through this transition from, starting out as a nonprofit research lab and moving into a for-profit company.
And that shift, that's where things get really interesting. Because Musk is vehemently, and I mean vehemently, opposed to OpenAI going the for-profit route. He even went so far as to say that it's a betrayal of their original mission, to develop ethical AI that would actually benefit humanity.
Yeah, and Musk's argument is that if you're just pursuing profit, you're inherently compromising ethical considerations, and you can even see this play out in the past. Remember when he pulled Tesla out of that prominent AI ethics group because he just felt that they were moving too slowly? That gives you a sense of how committed he is to this idea that AI should be a force for good, uncorrupted by commercial interests.
So he's basically saying if we're just chasing profits, we might end up with AI that benefits a select few at the expense of, everyone else.
Yeah, that's the core of his argument. He believes that ethical AI development requires a totally different approach, one that puts long-term societal benefits ahead of short-term financial gains. And to prove his point, he offered a staggering, $97.4 billion to buy back OpenAI and steer it back towards its nonprofit roots.
Wow, talk about putting your money where your mouth is. But Altman didn't really budge, did he?
Not at all. He quickly rejected that offer. His argument is that to really advance AI research and compete, in this really rapidly evolving landscape, OpenAI needs serious financial power. Think about it. Developing and training these large language models requires just a ton of computing power. And then you have to attract and retain top talent, and all of that costs money, a lot of it.
So Altman's basically saying, look, we got to play the game, compete in the market, and secure the resources to stay ahead of the curve. Otherwise, someone else will.
Exactly. And he points out that OpenAI has a structure in place that actually prevents any single person, even someone like Musk, from having too much control over its direction. So he sees Musk's bid more as a tactic to hinder their progress than a genuine attempt to save OpenAI's soul, let's say.
Okay, so we have these two incredibly influential figures. They both have clashing visions for the future AI. It's like a real-life superhero movie, except, instead of capes and superpowers, they're using algorithms and data sets.
It's true. And the interesting thing is that both Musk and Altman, they both make a lot of bold claims, and they engage in a bit of self-promotion. They definitely both understand the power of narrative, especially in this field where, public perception can heavily influence things like investment and policy decisions.
It's like they're vying for that title of captain of the AI starship, I guess. But seriously, this rivalry, it goes beyond just their personalities. It really shows this tension that's playing out in the tech world right now. Can we reconcile those idealistic goals of ethical AI development with the demands of a really competitive and rapidly evolving industry?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's really easy to get caught up in this clash of the titans, I guess you could say. But there's actually a much bigger story unfolding here. It's a story that's impacting all of us, whether we're super into tech or not. This AI boom that we're seeing, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. It's a paradigm shift. It has the potential to reshape industries, to redefine what work is, and even challenge how we understand what it means to be human.
Okay, so we've got this battle happening at the top for AI dominance. And at the same time, we've got this massive waves of AI development going on all over the world. It does kind of feel like we're at the edge of something really transformative. But before we get too far into that, maybe we should step back for a minute and look at this AI boom a bit closer. You mentioned that it's similar to the internet boom. Why is that?
Well, for one, both of these technologies have this incredible potential to disrupt all these industries that already exist and create entirely new ones. Think about how the internet changed communication, commerce, and entertainment. We're seeing something similar with AI, but it's on an even bigger scale.
So it's more than just cool gadgets and apps. It's about changing how we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. And just like the internet boom, this AI revolution is bringing in a lot of investment, both from venture capitalists and those established tech giants. We're talking billions of dollars pouring into AI research, development, and infrastructure. Everyone's trying to get a piece of what they think is going to be the defining technology of the 21st century. But what's really cool is that this time around, it's not just like a few big players controlling everything.
So it's not going to be another Silicon Valley show. Who else is stepping in?
Well, we're seeing new AI hubs popping up all over the place, like from China to the UAE. And what's interesting is that these new players, they're bringing their own unique perspectives and approaches to AI development.
So it's not just about who gets there first, it's also about what kind of AI we end up creating. It sounds like we might actually be moving towards a more diverse AI landscape, which, that could be a good thing.
Yeah, it could definitely be really beneficial. Competition drives innovation, and having multiple perspectives involved in shaping the future of AI, that could actually help ensure that it reflects a wider range of values and priorities.
That's a really good point. We've all seen those dystopian sci-fi movies where AI becomes this massive force controlled by like a select few. So the idea of a more decentralized and diverse AI ecosystem feels a lot more, well, hopeful.
It does, and it's still early, but the potential is definitely there. But to really understand how all this is playing out, we got to look past the headlines and actually dive into some of the key advancements that are driving this AI boom. For instance, there's generative AI. That's probably the most talked about area right now.
Right, generative AI. Like ChatGPT, I got to admit, I was pretty blown away when I first messed around with it. It can write poems, compose music, even generate code. It's like having a creative genius right there in your pocket.
It's a powerful tool, and it's just one example of how generative AI is like changing the rules of the game. Generative AI basically refers to these algorithms that can create new content. It could be text, images, music, or even video, and the possibilities are like endless.
So you could generate a custom marketing campaign, like with slogans, visuals, a jingle, all that just from typing a few keywords. Or design a 3D model for a new product without even having to sketch it out first. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And the thing is, these tools are becoming more and more accessible even for people who aren't super technical. That's what makes generative AI so exciting. It's making creativity more democratic, and it's giving individuals and smaller businesses the power to do things that only large corporations or specialized professionals could do before.
Okay, so generative AI is definitely shaking things up. But what about some of those other groundbreaking technologies? Like, I keep hearing about DeepSea, but I'm not really sure what it is or why it's such a big deal. Can you break that down for me?
Of course. DeepSea, which was developed in China, actually, represents a major breakthrough in AI infrastructure. To put it simply, it's a new type of chip that's designed just for running AI models. And it's a game changer for a few reasons.
Okay, I'm listening. Why is this new chip so revolutionary?
First, it's a lot cheaper and way more energy efficient than traditional chips, which means AI development and deployment becomes much more affordable, especially for like smaller companies and research institutions. Second, it's optimized to handle just a massive amount of data that these AI models need, which means it can speed up the training process a lot and improve performance.
So we're talking about making AI more accessible, more efficient, and ultimately more powerful. And this is coming out of China, which just really shows your point about, that multipolar AI landscape. They're not just catching up, they're innovating and pushing the boundaries themselves.
Exactly. And this brings up some really interesting questions about the future of the AI industry. Will we see more diversity in the landscape with different countries and companies specializing in different areas of AI? Or will we see a consolidation of power with like just a few dominant players controlling most of the market?
Those are some pretty big questions. I have a feeling we'll need to do another whole deep dive just to unpack all of that. But for now, I think we've given our listeners a pretty good overview of this brewing battle for AI dominance and all those factors that are shaping the landscape.
We have covered a lot, from the clashing philosophies of Musk and Altman to these game-changing advancements like DeepSea. But what I find really interesting is how all of this is affecting the stock market. We're seeing a surge in interest and investment in anything that even seems remotely related to AI.
You mean like that whole AI gold rush that we're hearing so much about? But is it sustainable, or are we headed for another like tech bubble like the dot-com crash?
That's the question on everyone's mind, isn't it? There are definitely some parallels to the dot-com era where overinvestment and like inflated expectations ended up leading to a pretty painful correction. But AI is not just hype, it's a foundational technology. And it has the potential to fundamentally alter how we live and work. So even if there's some turbulence along the way, the long-term prospects for AI, they're incredibly strong.
So even if there's a market correction, you're saying AI isn't going anywhere.
Exactly. This isn't just a passing fad. This is a technological revolution, and it's here to stay. And we're just barely scratching the surface when it comes to its potential applications and implications.
Okay, before we get too carried away trying to predict the future, maybe we should look at how AI is already impacting industries. We talked about ChatGPT and its ability to generate content, but that's just the beginning.
Absolutely. In our next segment, we'll dive into some specific examples of how AI is already transforming sectors like healthcare, customer service, and even how we interact with our everyday devices.
Sounds good, but for now we'll let our listener take all this in. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive where we'll explore the real-world applications of AI and its impact on our daily lives.
Welcome back to our deep dive into AI. Before the break, we were talking about the global AI landscape and all the excitement around it. Now, let's shift gears a bit and look at some specific examples of how AI is already making a difference across different industries.
Sounds good. I'm really curious about how AI is changing healthcare. Earlier, you mentioned how AI is being used to analyze medical images and help with diagnoses. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. AI is proving to be super valuable in healthcare because it can process and analyze just huge amounts of data. Like, imagine an AI algorithm that's been trained on thousands, maybe even millions of medical scans. This AI can then pick up on subtle patterns or things that seem off that even the most experienced doctor might miss. That can lead to much earlier and more accurate diagnoses, which, can sometimes be life-saving.
So it's not about replacing doctors. It's more like AI is a tool that can make them even better.
Exactly. It's all about augmenting human expertise, not getting rid of it. AI can take care of those tedious and time-consuming tasks like analyzing scans or going through research papers, and that frees up doctors to focus on what they're really good at, providing personalized care and making those really important decisions that need human judgment and empathy.
That makes sense. It's like having a superpowered assistant working with the doctor, helping them to see more, analyze more, and ultimately, provide better care to their patients.
I like that analogy. And it's not just diagnostics. AI is also playing a big role in drug discovery and development. By looking at massive databases of scientific literature and data from clinical trials, these AI algorithms can find really promising drug candidates and potentially speed up that whole drug development process. This could mean faster breakthroughs and life-saving treatments getting to patients much sooner.
That's amazing. So AI is helping us find cures for diseases faster. Okay, healthcare is obviously a major frontier for AI. But what about other areas? Where else are we seeing AI having a real impact?
Well, customer service is another area where AI is really changing things up. Remember all those times you've been on hold forever, navigating endless phone menus just to get a simple answer?
Ugh, don't even remind me. It's one of the worst experiences.
I totally agree. But AI is actually changing all that. You know those AI-powered chatbots and virtual assistants? They're getting much more sophisticated. They're understanding natural language, learning from past interactions, and even figuring out what a customer might need before they even ask.
So a lot of times, these AI systems can actually solve problems faster and more efficiently than a real person.
That's right, and they're available 24/7, which is huge for businesses and customers. But it's not about getting rid of human customer service altogether. It's about making a smoother and more efficient experience for everyone. AI can handle the routine stuff and answer those common questions, and that lets the human agents focus on more complex issues or things that need a personal touch.
So it's like a partnership. AI takes care of the first part, and then, if it's needed, it hands things off to a human. It's a win-win. So we talked about healthcare and customer service, but I'm curious, how is AI changing our personal lives, like in our homes or with the tech we use every day?
That's a great question. That's an area where AI is becoming more and more common. Think about your smartphone. It's already packed with AI-powered features, from voice assistants like Siri and Alexa to facial recognition and personalized recommendations. And they're only going to get smarter.
It's true, I rarely use my phone just to make calls anymore. It's like this mini computer that's always learning my habits and what I prefer. It can remind me of appointments, help me navigate traffic, even anticipate what I need. It's pretty wild.
It is. And it's not just smartphones. AI is being integrated into so many different devices, from smart speakers and home security systems to even cars and wearable fitness trackers. These devices are becoming way more intuitive and responsive, learning from how we behave and interact with them to create a more personalized and seamless experience.
It sounds like we're moving towards a world where AI is just part of everything. It's exciting, but also a little scary.
I know what you mean. It definitely brings up some questions about privacy, security, and whether AI could be used in the wrong way. We need to be aware of these things as we continue to develop and use these powerful technologies. But there's no question that AI is already changing the world around us in some really big ways.
Okay, so I'm starting to get a much better understanding of how AI is already part of our everyday lives. But I think it's important to step back for a minute and think about the bigger picture. What's next for AI? What are some of the things we should be watching out for in the future?
Well, predicting the future is always a bit of a guessing game, especially in a field like AI that's always changing so fast. But there are a few key trends that I think will probably shape the AI landscape in the coming years.
Okay, tell me more. What's on the horizon for AI? So you were about to tell us what's next for AI.
Well, one major trend is specialized AI systems. We've talked about how AI is already being used in specific industries, like healthcare and finance. That trend is only going to pick up speed as AI systems get more refined and focused on specific tasks and areas.
So it's like instead of having one AI that does it all, we're going to have AI specialists for every job.
Yeah, pretty much. Another exciting thing is how AI is merging with other new technologies like the Internet of Things, blockchain, even quantum computing. Imagine a world where tons of devices are connected and sharing data all the time. AI algorithms could then analyze all that data in real time to optimize everything. Things like traffic flow, energy consumption, even global supply chains.
Wow, that's a pretty crazy picture, like a hyper-efficient world where everything's connected. It's kind of mind-blowing, but also a little overwhelming. What does it mean for us practically?
On a day-to-day level, it could mean stuff like personalized traffic routes that change based on what's happening right now, smart homes that anticipate what we need, and even healthcare systems that could predict and prevent health problems before they even happen. The possibilities are pretty huge.
It's a lot to think about. But with all this focus on how technology is advancing, it's easy to forget about, the human side of things. What role will we play in this world that's becoming more and more AI-driven?
That's the big question, isn't it? As AI gets more sophisticated, it's natural to wonder if machines are going to take over our jobs and make us obsolete. But it's not that simple. Sure, some jobs will definitely be automated, but AI is also going to create new jobs and make humans even more capable in ways we can't even imagine yet.
So it's more about working with AI, not against it. Finding ways to use it as a tool to improve our lives and solve problems.
Exactly. We got to adapt and learn skills that complement AI, not compete with it. Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, complex problem solving. Those are the skills that only humans have, and they'll be even more valuable in a world powered by AI.
That's a good point. It's not about being replaced. It's about evolving alongside AI and finding new ways to work together. But with all this potential comes a lot of responsibility, right? How do we make sure AI is developed and used ethically?
That's the most important question. As we give AI more power and more autonomy, we have to set some clear ethical guidelines and rules. We have to make sure AI matches our values and is used to make things better for humanity, not to harm or exploit anyone.
So we're basically making the rules for a whole new era. What are some of the things we should be thinking about when we create these ethical guidelines?
Transparency, fairness, accountability, and privacy. Those are all key. We have to understand how AI systems make decisions and make sure they're not biased or discriminatory. We also need to protect individual privacy and make sure AI isn't used for surveillance or manipulation.
Those are all super important points. So as we enter this AI revolution, it feels like there's a lot of opportunity, but also, a bit of caution.
It's both exciting and challenging. This AI boom has the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it also brings up some tough questions about ethics and society that we need to face head on.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about. This deep dive into AI has been fascinating and definitely makes you think. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
The future of AI is still being written. It all depends on the choices we make today. So let's keep having these conversations, demand that AI is developed responsibly, and work towards an AI-powered future that benefits everyone.
Well said. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you like the episode, give us a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.